2 lines from the top, 3 lines from the top to be specific. We're going to start from Azhara Legase Haruach Minayin. Yesterday we learned quite a bit about how humility is very important and one should not be haughty. So the Gemara asks, where exactly in the Torah does the Torah warn against haughtiness? Does the Torah tell us not to be haughty? Amar Rava, Amar Zeiri, so Rava said in the name of Zeiri, Shimu v'hazinu al tikbo. Pasuk in Yirmiyah, listen and don't tigbohu, don't lift yourself. It means don't be haughty. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar Mehacha. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says actually a pasuk in Chumash. It says in the pasuk in Chumash, V'ram levavecha, your heart will become uplifted. V'shachachta, you will forget the Eibishter. Uksiv, and it says in another pasuk that we say every morning in Sheish Chidus, Yishamer lecha, be careful, ben tishkach as Hashem elekecha, lest you forget Hashem your God. So if the Torah tells us that we shouldn't forget Hashem, and it tells us that when V'rav levavecha, when your heart becomes haughty, you will forget Hashem. So obviously you're not allowed to become haughty because that's going to make you forget Hashem, which is forbidden. And this goes according to Rav Avin, said in the name of Rabbi Law, the Amar Rav Avin, Amar Rabbi Law, Kol Makim Shnamar Yishamar Pen Va'al, Ein Ela B'Lo Yisaseh. Rav Avin said in the name of Rabbi Law, and whatever the Torah uses the expression Hishamer, or it uses the expression pen, lest, or it uses the expression al, don't, it's a mitzvah Yisaseh. So since it says over here, Hishamer Lecha Pen Tishkach as Hashem Elekecha, be careful lest you forget Hashem your God. So you have both Hishamer and pen. So it's obviously a mitzvah slices, and how do you perform this mitzvah slices? By making sure not to be haughty. This is actually very much connected with Pesach, where we get rid of the chametz and bring in the matzah. Chametz is yeshus, matzah is bittul. As you probably remember me telling the story about the Rav in Dachshitz, Reb Leib Sheinin, who had to give a Shabbos HaGadol drasha. And he was a very chassidish yid, but he wasn't an orator by any stretch of the imagination. But a Shabbos HaGadol drasha you have to give, so he got up and he said like this. He said, Rabbi Yisai, the Mishnah sagt, the night before the 14th of Nisan, you have to search for chametz. What does chametz mean? Everybody knows what chametz means. Chametz means yeshus, ego. So where do you search for chametz? Where do you find ego? So naturally you say, where do you find ego? I'm sure everybody knows somebody who has a lot of ego in his heart. So you go to the other fellow and you search in his heart for the ego. Wherever you didn't put in any chametz, you don't have to search. In the other guy's heart, you ever pumped ego into the other guy's heart? You never pumped an ounce of ego into the other guy's heart. In your heart, you pumped ego all year round. That's where you should search for chametz. I'm just saying it's connected with the subject that we're learning now in the Gemara about how one should be careful not to come anywhere near the midah of haughtiness. Sometimes he said it in the name of Rav Asi, and sometimes he said it in the name of Rav Ami. Anyone who has haughtiness will ultimately be diminished. Shanamar, as it says in the pasuk, Rumu Ma'at. Rumu means lift yourself, Ma'at means small, less, diminished. So Rumu Ma'at, being uplifted leads to being diminished. Shema Taimar Yashne Ba'ila. You might think that yes, he'll be diminished, but he will remain as an entity in the world. Talmud Leimar V'Einenu. So the pasuk goes further and says V'Einenu, and he will no longer be around. But if he does tshuva, if he turns around, Nesaf is Manai, Avram Avinu, he'll be collected in his time. Now there's Lavarichas Yamim, like Avram Avinu lived to 175. Not bad, not a bad deal. Shenemar, as it says, Behumchu. If they lower themselves, if they diminish themselves, then they will be taken in like chayil. What's chayil mean? Like Avram, Yitzchak, about whom it's written by Avram, it says Hashem Beirach is Avram, Ba'chayil. By Yitzchak it says Mikayil. By Yaakov it says Yeshli Kayil. So we have Ba'chayil, Mikayil, Kayil by all three of the others. So V'humchu Kechayil Yichpatzun means one who lowers himself will be collected like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, by whom it says Kol. That's why we say in benching, Kamesha Beirach, Esaseinu, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Ba'Kol, Mikol, Kol. Ba'Kol refers to Avram, Mikol to Yitzchak, and Kol to Yaakov. Im Lav, but if they don't diminish themselves, if they remain with their haughtiness, Ukereshi Belas Himalu, like the top of a stalk, they'll be cut. Mayu Kereshi Belas, what does it mean like the top of the stalk, like the head of the stalk? Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. We have machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. Chad Amar Kisasa de Shiblata. One says like the fuzz on top of the stalk. Chad Amar Kishibelis Atzma. One says like the stalk itself. Says the Gemara, it's okay according to the opinion that says that it means the fuzz on top of the stalk. That now it makes sense why it says like the head of the stalk. But according to the opinion that says that it's like the stalk itself, why is it called the head of the stalk? Ravasi said, and so learned the Talmidim of Rabbi Shmuel, this can be understood with a mashal. The person who walks into his field, which is full of stalks of grain, the tallest ones, the ones that are high and call attention to him, those are the ones that he picks first. So the person who considers himself lofty and high and haughty, he is the one who, chas v'shalom, is picked first. Yes, Dako Shvalduach. Then the pasuk says in Yeshayav as Dako Shvalduach that Hashem says that I am with the one who is crushed and lowly in spirit. Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. On this we have a machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. Chad Amar Iti Daka. One says the pshat in the pasuk is that the Eibishter says the one who is crushed and humbled is with me. Chad Amar Aniyas Daka. The other one says it means that I am with the one who is humbled. I am with the one who is crushed. In other words, does the Eibishter take him? Does the Eibishter lift him up to him, or does the Eibishter come down to him? It makes sense, like the opinion that says that I am with the one who is crushed. You know that the Eibishter left aside all the mountains and all the hills. He didn't want to cause the Shekhinah to dwell on any of the mountains and the hills. And he caused the Shekhinah to dwell on Har Sinai, which was the humblest mountain. We don't find that Hashem lifted up Har Sinai up to heaven. He lowered himself onto Har Sinai. So according to the opinion that says, Iti Daka, that the one who is humbled and crushed is with me, that would imply that he is lifted up to the Eibishter. But that's not what happened by Matan Torah. By Matan Torah, the Eibishter came down on Har Sinai, didn't lift up Har Sinai to heaven. So therefore, it makes more sense like the opinion that says, Ani es Daka, that Hashem is with the person who is crushed and humbled. Amar Rabbi Yosef said, a person should always learn from the ways of his creator. The Eibishter left aside all the mountains and all the hills and caused the Shekhinah to dwell upon Har Sinai. Now there is in the brackets a few more words. I'm not sure if they're meant to be here or not, but it doesn't do any harm to learn it. When the Eibishter wanted to reveal himself to Moshe Rabbeinu in the first of Revelation to Moshe Rabbeinu, he could have chosen any beautiful tree where to reveal himself, but he left aside all the good trees, and caused the Shekhinah to dwell in the burning bush, a thorn bush, which is a very humble plant. Amar Rabbi Elazar said, anyone who has haughtiness is worthy of being uprooted like an Asherah tree. Like a tree which is designated for idolatry, it's a mitzvah to uproot. So a person that has haughtiness is deserving of being uprooted like an Asherah tree. Ksiv Hacha, it says in one pasuk, Ramei Hakayma Geduim, Ramei Hakayma, those that are tall, are uprooted. Ksiv Hasam, and it says in another pasuk, Ve'ashereim Tigadeun, their Asherah tree should be uprooted. So we see that the person that has Gasus HaRuach is worthy of being uprooted like an Asherah tree. Another thing Rabbi Elazar said, person that has haughtiness, his dust will not be shaken, meaning he will not be zeicha to tchias hamesim. Pretty heavy stuff. Shenemar, as it says, hakitzu v'ranenu sheichnei afa. It says, wake up and sing those who repose in the dust. So if it means literally those who lie in the dust, it should have said not sheichnei afar, but sheichvi be'afar. Those who lie in the dust. Sheikh vi ba'afar lo'yinemar, and sheikhnei afar. Sheikhnei afar literally means the one who is a neighbor to the dust. Misha nasa shachim la'afar b'chayev, a person who was a neighbor to the dust during his lifetime. In other words, he lived in a very humble state of existence and considered himself a neighbor to the dust during his lifetime. He will be zeicha to afarei ninar. He will be zeicha to tchias hamesim akitzu v'ranan. Another thing Rabbi Elazar said, anyone who has haughtiness, the Shekhinah wails for him. Shenamar, as it says, Begavaya, the one who is lofty, the one who is high, holds himself high, Mimerchak Yeyeda. From a distance he will wail. Darash Rabavira taught, Itamer Rebbe Lezer, and others say Rebbe Lezer taught. Come and see how Hashem's ways are not like the ways of a human being. By human beings, Gavaya Reyes HaGavaya, person who's on a high place in society sees the other people that are in a high place in society. Those are the people that he interacts with. And Gavaya Reyes HaShafal, and the one who is way up there doesn't see the regular guy who's down on the bottom of the social ladder. Doesn't look at him. But the Eibishter's ways are not like that. Who Gavaya, he is very high. The Reyes HaShafal, but he sees the one who's very low. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Kiram Hashem, Hashem is lofty. The Shafal Yireh, but he sees also the one who is lowly. Maybe specifically the one who is lowly. Amar Avchista v'yitema marukva. Avchista said, and others say marukva said, Kol Adam sheyesh begasus haruach. Any person that has haughtiness, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter says about him, Ein ani v'hu yechelim ladr ba'olam. I and he cannot dwell together in the world. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, L'lashni v'seisei re'ehu eisei atzmis. One who slanders his friend in secret, him I will cut off. One who has high eyes, lofty eyes, and a broad heart, him I cannot. Don't read the word him I cannot. With him I cannot. So this is what Hashem says. That a person is which is an expression of haughtiness, and Hashem says that I cannot be with him in the world. Others apply this to people who speak Lashon Hara. Because it says, as we quoted before from the pasuk, one who slanders his friend in secret, him I will cut down. So the rest of the pasuk, which we interpreted to mean can also be applied to the person who speaks Lashon Hara, which the beginning of the pasuk speaks about. Amar Rabbi Alexandria said, person that has haughtiness, even a small wind can uproot him. As it says, the wicked will be nigrash, means chased away like the sea. If the sea that has so many measures of a revius, of water in it, a small wind can uproot it. In other words, we see what happens when a tornado hits the sea, what kind of storm it becomes in the sea. Adam she'ein ba'yel revius, a person who has one revius of blood that keeps him alive. Alachas and ein ba'yel revius achas. Alachas kama v'kama. How much more so that a ruach kima, a small wind, can uproot it. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi said in the name of Rav, Talmud Chacham tzarich sheyehei bei echad mishmeina b'shminis. A Talmud Chacham does have to have a small measure of haughtiness, an eighth of an eighth. The famous word that the eighth Sedra is Vayishlach. And in the eighth Sedra Vayishlach, the eighth pasuk is Katonti. The Talmud Chacham has to have a Shmini Shebe Shminis. He has to be reminded of what it says in the eighth pasuk of the eighth Sedra Katonti. But the Gemara says that Talmud Chacham needs to have an Echad Mishmeina B'Shminis. In other words, he has to keep a certain state of self-respect that is appropriate for a Talmud Chacham, that people shouldn't step all over him and be mevaza to Torah. Amar Reb Huna b'reider Reb Yeshua, Reb Huna, the son of Reb Yeshua, said, that this little bit of pride that a Talmud Chacham should have crowns him like the fuzz on top of the stalk. Amar Rava said, B'shamta the isbei, B'shamta the lesbei. Shamta is an expression of excommunication, like a cherem. One who has gaiva is teignish, is not beseder, and one who doesn't have gaiva is not beseder. In other words, to have gaiva is no good for all the reasons that we said before. But for a Talmud Chacham not to have the minimal amount of pride that he needs to keep the respect of Torah is also not good. Amar of Nachman by Yitzchak, and Nachman by Yitzchak disagrees with Rav. He says, "Lo mina v'lo miksasa." I don't want to have any part in it whatsoever, not even a crumb. Mizuter d'chsiv beitev as Hashem called Ba'alev. Is it a small matter that which it says the abomination of Hashem is any haughty heart? In other words, haughtiness is absolutely objectionable. It's absolutely despicable. I want no part in it whatsoever. Amar Chizkiya said, "In filasi shel adu d'shmas elam kein mesim libe kabasar." A person's prayers are heard only if he places his heart like flesh. In other words, soft and doesn't have any haughtiness. Shenemar, as it says, that each month, all flesh will come to bow before Hashem. So in order to come and daven before Hashem, one has to be humble and like basar. Amar Reb Zayda said, basar ksiv be'benirpa, adam lo ksiv be'benirpa. In Parshas Tzaras, the next week's Sedra, in week after next. Next week's Sedra, we're learning Parshas Tazria Mitzayra. So you have over there the pasuk Adam ki yeh ba'er b'sarei, and then it says Ubasar ki yeh ba'er shchin. So the parsha of Basar says V'nirpa, and he'll be healed. Parsha that starts Adam ki yeh ba'er b'sarei doesn't have any V'nirpa, doesn't have any healing. So when a person considers himself humble like Basar, and he's healed. A person who considers himself a ganze Mensch, a ganze Adam, Ahima doesn't say V'nirpa. Amar Rabbi Yechanan said, Adam is a Rashi Tevis, Efer, Dam, Mora. Efer means ashes, Dam is blood, and Mara is gall. Basar is a Rashi Tevis, Busha, Srucha, Rima. Shame, smelly, and wormy. Iked Amri Sha'el B'chsiv B'shin. Others say that the Rashi Tevis, Basar, is not Srucha, which is written with a Samach, but Sha'el, the grave, which is written with a Shin. So we're trying to bring out how important it is that a person should consider himself humble and realize that he is ashes, blood, and gall. He's shameful and smelly and wormy. Amar Rav Ashi said, any person that has in himself haughtiness, l'seif nifchas, will ultimately be diminished. Shenemar, as it says, v'lasa eis, v'lasa pachas. So the word se'es, the word se'es means a lashon of loftiness. Shenemar ba'al kol ha'harim haramim, ba'al kol ha'gvois ha'neseyos, all the lofty mountains and all the hills that are uplifted. And the word sapachas, which is the following word in the pasuk, v'lasa eis, v'lasa pachas, means to be secondary, to be unimportant. Shenemar, as it says, sapcheni no alachas ha'kohunas lechel pas lechem, add me on to one of the groups to eat some bread. So the point is that sapchenina means make me secondary, make me just an adjacent, an addition, rather than being something significant on his own. So velasta ace, the person that holds himself high, becomes lasapachas, becomes unimportant. Amar Rabbi Shua bar Levi, Rabbi Shua bar Levi said, come and see how great are humble people before Hashem, although they are lowly in spirit, how great they are before Hashem. When the Beis Hamikdash stood on the Makriv Oila, if a person brought an Oila, burnt offering to the Beis Hamikdash, Schar Oila b'yadeh, so he's rewarded for a carbon Oila. Mincha, if he brings a meal offering, Schar Mincha b'yadeh, he's rewarded for bringing a meal offering. But a person who's humble, Ma'ilo of Arkasav, the Torah considers him as if though he offered all the karbanos put together. Shenemar, as it says in Tilim, we say this every night in Kiddush Shalamita, Zivche Elikim Ruach Nishbara, the sacrifices to Hashem are a broken heart. So it uses the plural, Zivche Elikim, all the sacrifices. Not only is it considered as if though he brought all the sacrifices, his tefillah will never be rejected. Shenemar Leiv Nishbar V'Nidke Elikim Le'Sivze, a broken and crushed heart, the Eibus doesn't despise. The Amar Rabbi Shua bar Levi. Another thing Rabbi Shua bar Levi said, Kol hashomer chaysa b'olam hazeh, person who evaluates his ways in this world, in other words, is continuously checking on himself whether his ways are appropriate, zeicha v'reya b'shuaseh shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, merits to see Hashem's salvation. Shenemar, as it says, V'sam derech ad enu b'yesha elikim. The pasuk in Tilim says, V'sam derech ad enu b'yesha elikim. Particularly v'sam ela v'sham derech. So don't read the word v'sam with a sin. I read it with a shin. V'sham derech, one who evaluates his ways, will be shown the salvation of Hashem. We're now going back to the Mishnah that we learned on Daf Beis Amud Aleph, the first, right away, the beginning of the Masechta. We spoke about the man who is giving a warning to his wife who was suspicious of adultery. Please, nicht gehalten mit einer Schere jetzt. Thank you. Excuse me about that. Keitzad mekanila. how does the husband deliver the warning to the suspected adulteress? So the Mishnah says that if he says to her, don't speak to this and this man, and she spoke to him, nothing happens. She's not considered in any way to be suspected of adultery, and she's still permitted to her husband, and if he's a kohen, she can still eat truma. If he warned her not to speak to this man, and then she went and secluded herself with him in a private place, then there's trouble. So the Gemara asks, Hagu Fakasha. This is a contradiction in itself. Amrit Amar Lo B'fnei Shnayim Al Tadabri Mishpleni. First you said that if the husband says to the wife in front of two witnesses, don't speak to this man, Alma Mishpleni Zeh, Alma Dibur Stirahu. So that means that if that is an acceptable lashon of warning, that means that speaking is equivalent to secluding yourself with him. But then it says further in the Mishnah, Dibra Ima, that if she spoke to him, then she's still permitted to her husband, and she's still permitted to eat truma if he's a kohen. Alma Dibur like Klumhu. So obviously speaking is nothing. So if speaking is nothing, then the lashon and the warning, don't speak to him, should also not be considered a significant warning. If he warned her, don't seclude yourself with this man, and she secluded herself with him, then there was a proper warning and there was a violation of the warning. But if we say that speaking is nothing, because speaking to this man, even after being warned, doesn't achieve anything, then surely it's not the appropriate expression to be used in the warning either. Amar Abaye Hachikamar. So Abaye said what the Mishnah actually means to say is the following. If he told her, he warned her, don't speak to this man, and she violated his warning and did speak to him, is nothing. If he warned her not to speak to this man, and she went and secluded herself with him, it's again nothing, because he didn't warn her properly. If he warned her not to seclude herself with this man, and she went and spoke to him, so in all these three cases, she's still permitted to her husband, and she's still permitted to eat truma if he's a kohen. But after he warned her, don't seclude yourself with this man, and she went into a private place in seclusion with this man, and she stayed there long enough to become defiled, then that's when she's forbidden to her husband and forbidden to eat truma if he is a kohen. Then the Mishnah says further, that if the husband dies before she has an opportunity to drink the waters of Soita and prove her innocence, so then she gets chalitza, assuming there's no children and there's a brother. Husband has a brother. So normally, in a case where a man dies without children, the brother would have a mitzvah to marry the widow, the mitzvah of yibum. If he doesn't want to marry her, then he has the option of doing chalitza. But in this case, since she hasn't drunk the waters of Soita yet, so she's a suspected adulteress. So if he dies now, his brother cannot be miyabim her. Maximum he can do is give her chalitza. She's supposed to give her chalitza. Why is this halacha that he can't do yibum, he has to do chalitza? Tis yabim nami yibum. Why shouldn't there be a mitzvah of yibum? She's the wife of his brother who passed away without children, and in such a circumstance, there's normally a mitzvah of yibum. Why over here can there not be a mitzvah of yibum? Amar Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef tried to explain it in the following way. He said, Amar Kra. It says in the pasuk, Parshas Ki Seitzah, v'yatsa mi beisai, that the divorced woman should leave his house, leave her husband's house, and she can go and marry another man. That parsha begins by v'hayim loy simtza chen ba'einav ki matza ba ervas dama, and it will be if she doesn't find favor in his eyes because he found something suspicious about her behavior. So then, v'yatsa mi beisai, he can divorce her, and she can go and marry another man. So we learn from the words v'holcha v'haisali ish acher v'loy liyavam. She can marry another man, but she cannot marry his brother. So in a case of a suspected adulteress, even if he dies before any process of verification is undertaken, there cannot be a mitzvah of yibum because the Torah says v'holcha v'haisali ish acher, and ish acher means not the brother-in-law. Amar le Abaye, so Abaye said, Elamayata, if that's the case, that there's an explicit pasuk which says that the mitzvah of Yibum doesn't apply over here, then Chalitza Nami Leitiboy. She shouldn't need Chalitza either. When do you need Chalitza? Chalitza you need if there's a mitzvah of Yibum, and for whatever reason the brother doesn't want to fulfill the mitzvah of Yibum, then in order for her to be permitted to marry another man, she needs Chalitza from the brother. But in this case, where the Torah explicitly says there's no Yibum, she shouldn't need Chalitza either. Amar Lei. So Rav Yosef answered him, Ilu Isei Labal, if the husband was still alive, Milei Baya get, wouldn't she need a get to be considered divorced? Hashtanami, now that the husband has passed away, so the relationship with the brother-in-law is somewhat similar to the previous relation with the husband. And if she wants to become free from the obligation of the brother-in-law to marry her, Hashtanami Tibaya Chalitza, she would need Chalitza now, just like she would need a get if the husband was still alive. East Amri Amar Rav Yosef, others say Rav Yosef said, Rachmana Amar, the reason why there's no Yibum over here, only Chalitza, was Rachmana Amar V'yatsa Mi Beisei, V'holcha V'hoisa L'Yishachar. The Torah recommends, in the case of Matzah Ervas Davar, the Torah recommends V'yatsa Mi Beisei, she should leave his house, meaning he should divorce her, and go and marry another man. For why does the Torah recommend that? The listed Beisei, that she shouldn't destroy his home. The At Amrit is Yabim Name Yibumeh. And you want to tell me that the Torah will encourage that the brother should marry her? If the Torah just encouraged his brother, the brother who passed away, to divorce his wife because she's going to destroy his home, then how could the Torah be encouraging the brother at the same time to marry her? Amar le Abaye, Abaye said to him, if that's the case, he shouldn't be allowed to marry anyone else. Just like you said that the Torah recommended that her husband should divorce her in order that she shouldn't destroy his home, then how can she go and marry somebody else? She's going to destroy the other person's home. Amar Lei, I don't know if people have the copies of the next few lines, but Amar Lei, Mika Raminan La'alei Balkarche. Are we compelling the other person to marry her? It's his choice. He decided he wants to marry her. The Torah is not going to stop him. But here, the Torah is recommending and encouraging and making a mitzvah of the brother marrying her. So it doesn't make sense to say that the same woman who the Torah encouraged her husband to divorce her, the Torah is going to encourage his brother to marry her. Somebody else comes along and wants to marry her, it's his prerogative. But that the Torah should encourage and suggest that the brother should marry her, make a mitzvah out of it, that would be, in principle, contradictory to the idea that the Torah itself has recommended that they get divorced. Iked Amri Amar Rav Yosef. Others say Rabbi Yosef said, "Hakasuv kroi acher she'enei ben zugei shalish." The Torah the person who marries her after she's divorced because of suspected adultery, the Torah refers to him as acher, another, because he's not a fitting match to the first one who divorced her. He just got rid of a wicked woman from his house. And this one is bringing a wicked woman to his house. And you're going to suggest that the mitzvah of Yibum should be performed over here, where the Torah will be encouraging him to bring this wicked woman into his house. It cannot be. Amar le Abaye. Just going to, the topic here continues until the Mishnah. So for those who have the Gemara in front of them, I think it would be wise to just complete the point that we're in the middle of. Amar le Abaye, so Abaye said to Rav Yosef, if that's the case, nisis la'achem, umeis b'lei banim, if she marries another man, and the other man dies without children, loitis yabim, there should be no mitzvah of yibum, da'akasuv karei acher, since the Torah refers to the man who married her after she was divorced because of suspicious behavior. The Torah refers to him as acher, as another, because he's the opposite of the man who divorced her. The man who divorced her got rid of a wicked woman from his house, and he's bringing her into his house. So then there shouldn't be a mitzvah of yibum, because if the Torah discourages this marriage, then how could the Torah encourage the yibum that follows it? And for the Gemara, at least with the second husband, her behavior was okay. We don't have any evidence or any reason to suspect that her behavior was questionable on the second husband. If her behavior was questionable, that was just while she was married to the first husband. Now, by the second husband, everything is fine. So therefore, when the second husband dies without children, there is a mitzvah of yibum as there would be in any normal case. Rava Amar Kal V'Chemer. Rava says the reason why there's no mitzvah of yibum here is because of a Kal V'Chemer. Nes Rabbi Mutar law, if she became forbidden to someone who was permitted to her. In other words, her husband, who until now was permitted to her, she's now forbidden to him. So her brother-in-law, to whom she was forbidden until now, she surely remains forbidden. Amar le Abaye, so Abaye says to Rava, Elameata, according to your logic, I have a question for you. Kayin gadol shekidish almana. We all know that a kayin is not allowed to marry a divorcee, a grusha. But an almana, a widow, a kayin is allowed to marry. A kayin gadol is not allowed to marry an almana either. So what happens if a kayin gadol was mekadosh an almana? Bameis, and then the kayin gadol died. Yeshlei kayin hedi, and the kayin gadol has a brother, and the brother is an ordinary kayin. So the brother has a mitzvah of yibum to marry the wife of his deceased brother, the kayin gadol, and he's allowed to marry an almana, so there's no reason why he can't perform the mitzvah. Loitis yabim? Are you going to tell me, according to your logic, that there can't be any yibum over here? Because the kal v'chemer that you brought before applies over here also. Imnes rabbi mutar law, if she became forbidden if she's forbidden to the kayin gadol, to her husband, who should, under normal circumstances, be permitted, so then the brother-in-law to whom she was forbidden, she should surely remain forbidden. Says the Gemara, Nesra, you said she became forbidden to someone who she was permitted to. She was forbidden to the kayin gadol all along. Mutarla, you use the expression Nesra b'mutarla. She became forbidden to someone who she was permitted to. She was never permitted to the kayin gadol. She was an almana to a kayin gadol was forbidden. Asrlahu, she's forbidden all the time. Ella, what you could ask is as follows: Eishes kayin shenen savameis. If an Eishes kayin, if the wife of a kayin lived with another man against her will, and then the husband, the kayin, passed away, v'yeshlei achala. And the kayin has a brother, who this brother is a desecrated kayin. The brother is a product, let's say, of a union of a kayin and a grusha, or a kayin and a giyeris, whatever, in a case where the kayin is not allowed to marry this woman. So this man had two wives. One wife bore him a kosher kayin, because she's a kosher wife. And then he married another woman who was forbidden to him. And the child that was born of that union is a desecrated kayin, a chalal. And a chalal does not have the mitzvahs of kahuna. So a chalal is allowed to marry someone who a kayin is not allowed to marry. So if a wife of a kayin lived with another man against her will, v'yeshlei a chalal, and this kayin has a brother who's a desecrated kayin. Now this kayin, the husband, passes away. Is there a mitzvah of yibum upon the brother who's a chalal? Loitis yabim, are you going to tell me that there's no mitzvah of yibum? For the same kal v'chemer that you used before, in nesra b'mutar law, if she became forbidden to her husband, who was until now she was permitted to, ba'asur law lekolshke, then her brother-in-law, to whom she was forbidden, she should surely remain forbidden to. And for the Gemara, einis b'yisrael mishra shari. A case where a woman lives with another man against her will is only a problem for a kayin. For a Yisrael, that's not considered an issue whatsoever. So as far as the non-kayin is concerned, the chalal, the desecrated kayin, we treat like a Yisrael, like a non-kayin. For him, there was never a problem to begin with. In other words, if we had a greater problem and a lesser problem, then we can make kal v'chemers, that if she was forbidden to the one to whom she was until now permitted, she should surely be forbidden to the one who she was forbidden to all along. But since by a Yisrael, and a chalal is the same as a Yisrael, einus is not an issue whatsoever, so therefore there's no room for any kal v'chemers, and she's 100% permitted to him, and therefore he may perform the mitzvah of yibum in such circumstances. I take this opportunity to wish everyone a very freiliche Yom Tif, and the Eibishter should help that long Yom Tif, Mashiach should be here, and we should all be celebrating Shvi Shel Pesach, Achron Shel Pesach, Mashiach Suda, in the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi, U'Malkeinu B'Reisheinu. Freilich Yom Tif. Any questions? Are there any questions on what we learned?
The kal v'chemer of im nesra b'mutila b'asur lekol shekain, that wouldn't only apply to yibum, that would apply to anybody. At the time when she's married, everybody's asur to her.
I think that's the Gemara's tenets. It's obvious that we only apply this kal v'chemer if there is some kind of an isur where there's a svara that she should be asur. Then we say, if the person to whom she was mutter, this isur was strong enough to stop her, to stop her from being with him, then surely the person she was ushered to, this Isur should surely be enough to stop him from being Miyabed. But in a case where there's no Isur whatsoever, then the whole svara doesn't apply. And that's why, the last piece of Gemara, and therefore it's like every other case. Just like in a regular case, when you don't say this kind of thing. So over here also, you don't say this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yep.
Hey, I feel to everyone.
Just a little ha'ara. It's interesting. Today's Hoitche B'Chesed, and most of the Amud and a half is all about humility.
Good, very nice. Very nice. Yasher Koyach. Freilich and Yom Tov to everyone.
Good Yom Tov. Koyach. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Moishi, was machst du?
How's Ezra?
Baruch Hashem. Any mail for us lately? The last few years?
Maybe some